Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Get Up 10. And I'm super excited because it's my birthday week and my book is now available for purchase. Whoop, whoop. So, if you're interested in that, I just ask you to pause the episode and go get your copy right now. The link is going to be in the show notes, and I'm going to talk more about the book soon. But if you've been following me in my journey, you're definitely going to want to get the book. I'm talking about my relationships. I'm talking about my experience with college basketball. I'm talking about quitting jobs, and I'm helping you learn how to thrive, how to leave when staying seems easier, how to find purpose, and how to flourish. So definitely go get your copy right now. But anyways, yeah, so it's my birthday week. I want to do things a little different, and I decided to bring back my good friend, Barbara B. You guys might remember her from the episode, Clearly You're a Fighter. And if you haven't listened to that, pause it again, go back and check out that episode so you can get more of a feel for her and her story. Because today we was just kicking it, okay? We talked about entrepreneurship, we talked about relationships, we talked about mindset, knowing your values and your identity and your purpose and all that kind of good stuff. So, yeah. Let's get into it. All right, let's take it easy. It's my birthday week. We're ending the year strong, nothing too heavy. So I hope you enjoy this. Let's get into it. Okay, so I'm in a silly mood today. And I don't know why. I don't even know where it just happened in like the last 15 minutes. But I'm here with my good friend Barbara B. And y'all know if you've been following Get Up Time, you already know who she is because I never told you this. But I got a lot of good feedback on your episode. Clearly, you're a fighter. That was a very popular one. I never told you that. And
No, you never told me that. Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
part of that is
Oh,
because after that episode, I didn't do anything for a long time. So when people came to my podcast, it was just like the first one there. But like
I,
people really love that episode. So if you're here and you
oh,
haven't really you're a fighter, go back and listen to that because
oh my gosh. I should go listen to that. That was a while ago. That was that
yeah,
was a
I
while
think
ago,
it was
right?
like 2 years ago now. I think it was
Oh,
2021. I might be wrong, but
oh, oh.
if it's not 2 years ago, it's about to be.
That makes me feel good because I'm glad. I'm glad to hear it. You never told me,
I know.
but thank you. Oh my gosh. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes me
So
happy.
I had to bring you back because a lot has happened since then.
I'll say.
And yes, we're gonna get into it. I don't have I think part of the reason why I'm so like lighthearted today is because I don't have my questions in front of me. I don't have any structure. We're just going with the flow. We're just gonna have conversations and yeah, because I needed that. Because last week I was doing some interviews and they were really good, but I was like, oh, time for something different. And
Yeah.
it just so happened that you are my next scheduled interview. So I'm like, look at God, perfect. And
Yes.
I already know how we get down. So I know I don't if you want to hear a more structured interview, go listen to her first one. But that's not what we're doing today. So
Yay. I'm so excited. I'm so honored. Okay. I'm so honored. I'm so excited. I could be a well-needed break from the typical structure and let's do it. I'm down.
what are we talking about?
Girl. So how about we talk about what all has been going on since the last episode? Maybe not everything because we'll probably be here for a few days, but just in general. I mean, it's your podcast, so you tell me.
Oh my gosh. Well, we can talk about entrepreneurship and
Oh,
calling and purpose, you know?
oh, I
Hmm.
see. I see.
Just a
Don't
suggestion.
get me hype. Please don't get me hype. Okay. I will not get off the Zoom. Do not get me hype. We'll be here for a minute. Okay. Oh my gosh. Entrepreneurship.
Yes.
First of all, can I just say it's so amazing it's so amazing that when I met you, I I knew something was there. I knew there was a little something there, but I never imagined that like years and years later we would be here like this, right?
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 Yeah.
So speaking of entrepreneurship, those that may not know, I actually met Ginger because I was a mobile hairstylist. And I say was, I kind of still am because I'm like queen of all hustles. Okay. Talking about entrepreneurship, like I feel like even back then, I didn't really consider entrepreneurship to the extent that I'm operating in it now, right? But I think along the way, like God has been kind of like easing me into it because the word used to scare me. Like being on my own, running my own businesses and all that stuff, that used to scare me. Like I was like, nah, I'm cool. Like I'll be a corporate baddie. I'll be a corporate person, a 9 to 5 girly, whatever for life. I just want to get to the CEO level. And crazy enough, I do feel like I I will get there, but it's not in the way that I thought. It's going to be for my own business or my own family business and not for somebody else's business. So it's quite interesting. But yeah, so that's how I met Ginger, for those of you who may not know. Um, and yeah, I was a hairstylist at the time, and then I kind of started to transition into baking, which also was interesting because your mom, Ginger, she actually kind of like she kind of really encouraged me to like take it a little seriously, and she was like, "Oh, if you're into this, then I have a store that you could go to that you could get all the supplies and stuff." And I've been going to that store ever since.
Wow.
And it's because of her. Yeah, it's so crazy. And then like fast forward to maybe a year or so later, maybe a couple of years later, she gave me a bunch of some old supplies that she didn't need anymore. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, I just didn't I never imagined that like, we would be here. And I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful. But yeah, that was my little spiel, my little intro into, but yeah, so basically entrepreneurship is it's a journey. First of all, it's not for everybody. It's not for the faint of heart, and I'm learning that very quickly. I've learned that, especially if you want to be successful at it. Anybody can say like, "Oh, I'm an entrepreneur," because they have their own thing going on, but it takes a certain level of skill, humility. You have to be able to learn from others, especially from their mistakes. Um, if you're going to be excellent at it. And right now, I'm in a season where I am starting up a new a new business, but it's more so like it's not like the hairstyling, it's not like the baking. This is like my purpose, my calling, if you will, right? Like this is the thing that I'm like, ah, I can breathe, I can be happy. I can wake up on Mondays and be excited because this is what I believe that I've been called to do, especially in this season. And so in in starting that up, like I'm realizing a lot of stuff about entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship God's way, because that's totally different. Okay, yeah, yeah. How about that one, right? So entrepreneurship God's way it's a whole different situation in itself. And I'm just learning so much. I am I'm learning so much about entrepreneurship God's way, my purpose, but a lot about myself. Oh, girl, should I go there? Can I
Yes.
go there or
Yes.
I'm learning so much about myself. And I believe that in all the journeys that we can take, right? We can pray about stuff and God will be like, all right, he's showing you the way, but nothing surprises God because it's actually supposed to surprise you. God is not learning anything new about us. We're learning new things about ourselves, right? Because he knows the beginning from the end, which I love. And I have to remind myself that, because I'm like, hey, sir, what we doing? Um, and when I remind myself that he knows the beginning from the end, I'm like, you know what? You already know what's gonna happen. So you got this. Okay. You got this. You just let me know what I need to do. And then I'm, I'll try to do it. Do I do it all the time? No. I'll be lying if I say I'm not always obedient. That's just what it is. And so speaking of which, like, I'm learning to be more obedient. I'm learning that I I tend to, because again, going back to like the different hustles and being quote unquote, so my Instagram name, like my personal Instagram, is Bossarella, right? And I feel like the name fits me in so many different ways. So I kind of have that attitude towards certain things. Like I'm Bossarella, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, not me, but I have authority. Okay, I'm that girl. But I'm learning that even in my authority, like, I have to submit to something, right? I have to submit to someone, and which is God. Um and it's tough. It's been tough because it's not, how do I explain? Just having, just like, God directing me, and if he's telling me to do something that I don't think makes sense, because a lot of things, like a lot of faith moves, do not make sense, will not make sense. And that's why it's called faith, right? So, for example, this last year, I was working a 9 to 5, which was, it threw me for a loop. I have been in the entrepreneur streets for the past like 4 to 5 years, right? And so, with the exception of the last year, I quote unquote went back to the 9 to 5. And I want to say maybe like a solid like 9 months in, I I felt like I was like, okay, it's time to go. And I was like, but wait, what? Hold on. I'm not ready. Like, as much as I couldn't stand working a 9 to 5, as much as like I was like, I don't want to work for nobody else, and I want to establish my own thing. I had my own plans. I was like, I'm gonna figure out the finances and stuff so that I am able to stand on my own 2 feet and do my own thing and never have to look back at a 9 to 5, right? That was my plan. And so a solid, 9 months in, God was like, yeah, nah, it's time to go. It's time to go. And I'm not gonna lie, at first, like, I ignored it. Um, I ignored it. I ignored the red flags because, jobs are like relationships. We see the red flags, right?
Mm-hmm.
We see the red flags, and I was trying to paint them things orange. I'm like, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. I could ride this out a little longer. I knew I wasn't gonna stay long term, because again, if this past year didn't teach me anything, it taught me that, like, yeah, girl, you're an entrepreneur. Like, it's in your heart, it's in your mind. Like, you have to succeed in whatever business or businesses that God is calling you to, and not working for anybody else. And so that was absolutely confirmed this past year. And so yeah, I was definitely trying to ride the wave, and finally it started messing with my mental health, because God knows how to get you. He knows how to get your attention. Yeah, yeah. He knows he knows how to get your attention. He knows how to he knows how to shut you down if you get out of hand. And I was getting a little out of hand, not gonna lie to you. So yeah, I realized that, like, in my obedience, so basically, long story short, I finally gave in my resignation, and I did quit that job, and it was absolutely on faith, financially. That's all I'll say. It was absolutely a faith move. There was nothing else lined up. It's not like I had a bunch of other interviews lined up or anything like that. I didn't have anything else really going on. So it was absolutely an act of faith. And in that act, in that obedience, in me moving in faith, like it's almost like God was like, see, I told you, I got you. And when I say like quick little testimony, right? Because I gotta plug it in. This is I don't even know which direction we're going in, but now here we are, right? In the obedience, right? In me being obedient, in me telling God, yes, okay, fine, I will quit this job with nothing lined up, not knowing what's gonna come next. In that obedience, when I tell y'all, uh the provision, okay, because it's giving provider. He like that's what I know. It's giving provider, right? So I ended up finding like a little. So this was my prayer before I even go there. My prayer was, God, I know what you're calling me to do at this point. I know I have to, establish this thing, right? Which we'll get into, I guess, later. But I know I have to establish this thing. I know I know that you're calling me. Like, I know you're not just calling me to sit at home and do nothing, right? Um, so the situation that I would like, I'm telling God what I would like, right? Is to be able to make money on the side and not have to worry about bills, not have to worry about, my expenses and stuff like that. Cause I'm a foodie, I wanna still eat, like that's the life I'm I'm used to. And so I'm like, God, I want to be able to still take care of these things and still have time to work on what you're calling me to do. Because let's be real, the 9 to 5 like did not give me that kind of time. After a long day at work, you don't want to come home and work on your own craft. You don't want to come home and work on your own dream or your own vision. Or even if you do, you don't have energy for it, right? And so a lot of days I was coming home and I was beat, like mentally, I was beat. I was like, I don't got it. I do not got it. And so I was able to, God opened the door. I found a little gig, right? I won't say what it is, but it's a really great hustle.
It's
But I
legal.
found a gig.
It's G-rated.
It's
I'm
legal.
not.
You're right. Thank you for adding that in because yeah, it's very legal. It's
Moving
actually
bricks on the side.
yeah, right, right. No, no, is it's legal. It's actually rewarding in its own way. And I literally work 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the evening. And the rest of the day, I have time to work on my dream, work on, my purpose work. I call it purpose work, right? I have time to work on that. I have time to be on the lovely Get Up 10 podcast, period. You know what I'm saying? Because in a few hours, I'm heading out the door to go back, right? And so basically God provided this opportunity for me to be able to make the same, almost, I think it's maybe like $100 to $200 less a week,
Wow.
but basically the same amount of money that I was making at my full time job, my full 9 to 5 job, right? I'm making that working very part time because yeah, I it's barely 20 hours a week.
I
If I
did
really
not
had to
know
add it up,
that. That's
yeah, it's
huge.
barely okay. Like that's I was like, I gotta tell the people how good God's been because when I
Yeah.
tell you this opportunity, like it fell in my lap literally, but I know why it fell in my lap because that was my prayer. Like I was very like, okay, God, you want me to do this, but you gotta see this through. Like I still got bills. My bills don't care nothing about my purpose. Okay, them bill collectors don't care nothing about me following my passion and my dream. They don't care nothing about that. And so I was like, okay, God, it's your will, your bill. What are we doing? And so he said, say less. I love I love when God says say less. I love it. It's my favorite thing. But yeah, so we're still walking out this thing. I'm working on my should I just go into it? I feel like yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We're just rocking out. Okay. So I am a life coach. Ooh, go me. Wow. Look at me saying it out loud. But yes, I am a life coach. I don't want to call myself a purpose coach, but basically that's the work that I am doing, especially with women, especially with young women. Um, and my call and my heart, like the burden, I guess you could say that God has put on my heart is to ultimately help, women like me and my good sis Ginger here, to first of all understand that they are valuable. They're valuable in God's eyes, they're valuable, period. No matter what anybody has to say. But also to recognize their identity, like their God-given identity. And then, of course, to uncover their purpose, because we're all born with a purpose, but a lot of us kind of go through life without ever really discovering what were we created to do. And so with that, me and the Holy Spirit or whatever, we established the VIP suite, which is life coaching and community. And so basically that's like my big thing. I have so many, big ideas for the VIP suite, which will come, soon. But we are starting out, we're taking clients and we're doing one-on-one coaching. We are doing community work. And I'm so excited for that because like that's like I want to say bread and butter, but it's not. That's not what it is. It's literally the thing that makes me come alive. And it has for years. I just didn't have a name for it. I just didn't have a thing to call it. Like I didn't know what to call it. And so as long as I can remember, I've been in this space. I've been, either counseling or mentoring or advising, my friends or like a friend of a friend or cousins or whoever. Um, and kind of just like, encouraging them and affirming them, and I'm like, that this is me. Like this is so my purpose. So me finding my purpose, it part of my purpose is helping other people find their purpose. So that's where we're at. That's where we're at in the entrepreneur game. And it has not been easy, okay? Because and Ginger, you can attest to this. Being an entrepreneur means you are the front end, the back end, and everything in between until you could figure out and kind of distribute the tasks and delegate to other people. But in the beginning, you're everything. And so that's why I say it's not for the faint of heart at all. At all. Like I understand when people are like, yeah, I could never do it. Yeah, well, as long as it's good to know. Know your limits. But yeah, that's that's where I'm at. That is where
I
I'm at
love
in this
that.
entrepreneur game.
And I can just
Yeah.
see like the glow as you're talking about it. And I'm so proud of you. And I just also love how our journeys have been very much like parallel. I thank God for that. Like, because I was praying for God to send me people. Okay, I don't know if I should go deeper, but
Please go deeper.
I forgot the verse. I want to say it's somewhere in Proverbs. I don't know.
Mhm.
It's something. Maybe it's the. Wait, let me look it up. Let me look it up. I think it's the verse about like how a good man leaves inheritance for
For his children's children.
yes. Mm, let me see.
I don't know exactly what you're talking about.
What verse is that?
I couldn't tell you, but I know it's in there. No, it's in there. Just-
Okay. 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 All right. Yes, here we go. Proverbs 13:22. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. Right. And we say that. We love that. Yes, let's be
yeah.
good men slash women. You know what I'm saying? let's leave inheritances for our grandchildren. Whoop whoop. But we don't talk about the second part of the verse, which says the wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous. And
Oh,
I love that verse. I'm always like, all right, God. Because I've heard people be like, there's gonna be a not generational, just a
wealth
uh,
transfer.
yes. I don't know why I was gonna say generational. There's
Yeah.
gonna be a wealth transfer. I feel it in the spirit. Da, 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 da. And I've heard that, but I don't know if people realize that like the Bible literally says like the wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous. So that means if you the righteous, there's some wealth coming your way.
Period.
Like, and
Period.
it's not the prosperity gospel, like that's the word.
No.
Like, and
Yeah.
so I like to go a little deeper and like look at what does stuff mean, like what's the context. And that word wealth is the Hebrew word like chayil. I don't know if I'm saying it right, whatever.
Yes.
You got a
Yes.
little spit in there.
Yep. How you? Yep.
Chayil.
Yep.
And what that means is resources. So like
Mhm.
obviously it does mean like financial, but it also means like people and
People.
resources
Yes.
and
I was just
means.
say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when I had that revelation, I started praying into that, like, okay, God, send me resources, send me people. And you are the answer to that prayer for
Oh.
real. Because
Oh.
one thing about the entrepreneur life is that you cannot do it alone. At least you can, but I don't think you're gonna last very long.
Shouldn't. It's
Yeah,
not recommended.
not
Zero
at
out of
all.
10 would not recommend to do it.
Yeah, it's all about collaboration and getting
Yeah.
people that actually let me say something. I got some notes from church.
Oh, you better preach.
Yeah, it's not even that deep, but like literally that's my notes. But
Share
it's
it.
just
If it's on your
it's
heart,
what
share
stood
it.
out to me. And one thing that guy's been showing me recently is that he's sending destiny helpers. So when you are on this entrepreneur walk, especially as a believer, you better believe and pray into those destiny helpers. Believe that they're
Yeah.
coming and pray over them. Pray against anything that would interfere or that would like hinder or get in the way of your destiny helpers reaching you. So, anyways,
Yes.
that's what I've been hearing recently that like God is sending destiny helpers. And so I'm like, okay, God, I'm in agreement with that. Please help me to recognize them when you send them. And yeah, anyways, so like the guy that was talking to the pastor, he was like, you need, because he was talking about having faith and dreaming big, kind of, but not in like, not in the, again, like not the prosperity gospel, like, like God wants to do that,
Yeah.
like,
Just sow a seed of $1,000.
no, like, literally, like, we're believers, like, we should be the ones dreaming big. Like, do you know
Yeah.
that you have Father God on your side? Do you know you have a heavenly host on your side? Like,
Yeah.
dreaming
Exactly.
small is like an insult. Like, what? No. So he was talking about like four people that you should have in your corner as you walk out purpose and these big dreams. And it was a dreamer, which is a person who's always thinking big and like has all the ideas. A
Mhm.
challenger, which is somebody who I didn't really take extensive notes, but basically it's somebody that's like, okay, like, but it's like the person who offers like other suggestions, ideas, like things that you might have not thought of. The person who's gonna
Yeah.
hold you accountable, like, okay, like you said we hit in the gym, so where you at?
Up.
Like,
What's up? Yeah.
and then the doer, which is the person who, when you're digging, they're coming alongside of you with the shovel and getting dirty too. And the
Yeah.
analyzer that is like, okay, like let me do some research for you. Let me hit the library. Let me go find an article. So that was like the four types of people he touched on. And
Yeah.
I know for me personally, like I get into my head on the regular. It's not always a safe place in there. And that's when you hear from me. I definitely call you up and I'm like, this is what I got going on. Like, can you please help me sort through this? And it's been a game changer. So, yes, you are
Oh.
very much like walking in purpose. And if somebody is listening to this and doesn't have people who they can go to, like, please find them. And if you
Yeah.
don't know where to find them, like just pray that God will send you the people because He will. Because, like we mentioned, we have been friends for I don't even know how many years now.
I can
And
I couldn't even tell you. I
no,
don't know.
she was just coming to my house to do my hair. Like I wasn't thinking like, oh, this is one of my destiny helpers, my one of my
Yeah.
partners. Like we're about to like do life together. Like
How
never would
crazy
have.
is
And I think that's another point that like God might have already sent you the person or the people and you just haven't realized it. So
Yep.
that's another part or prayer point. Let me say prayer point.
Yeah.
Yeah, like God, open my eyes to the things that you've already done, the people you've already sent. I was
Don't
going
let it
somewhere
pass
with
you by.
all of this. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I forgot why
But
I was
you
talking
definitely
about this.
need all those types of people for sure.
Yes. I
Oh,
wanted to
sure.
go back to you, back to you now,
Okay.
and your accomplishments. I love the acronym that you created for the VIP suite. Do you mind sharing that? Because when you said that, I was like, oh, that's so good.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have a thing for naming things, but I realize it's not my thing. It's like God's thing, right? He put that gift in me to like name a thing, right? And so the VIP suite, it stands for the VIP stands for value, identity, and purpose. And purpose was a big it was highlighted to me, I believe, when I decided, okay, God, I'm gonna take you seriously. I'm gonna take you seriously, and where are we going with this thing? Because I know you have so much in store for me, and it doesn't feel like that right now, right? And so, trying to pursue purpose, so to speak, kind of was highlighted to me. And so for a while, like I'm like trying to figure out like, well, what can I do? What can I do? And of course, you can do so much. There's so many things that I have done, that I can do, that I want to do, but they weren't necessarily purpose. Not that they were bad things, um, but it wasn't, none of those things were the reason why I was created, right? And so the other thing, um, that I kind of want to touch on with purpose is that purpose looks different in different seasons. I think when we think of purpose, we think like it has to be this thing. Like, some people go into careers saying like, "Oh, this is my purpose," which I'm not mad at. There's nothing wrong with that. Um, but I just can't imagine that throughout your whole life, this is your one. Your purpose only looks like one thing. So in general, I know it's VIP, but for me, the purpose was what stuck out to me the most. And so with that, my purpose is helping people, literally, like in every season. It's helping somebody, something, do something, right? Um, and so in the purpose, like in pursuing my purpose and uncovering it and trying to figure that out, of course, like God had to shed light on that. I couldn't find it myself, because if that were the case, like I would have been figured this out a long time ago, right? But I realized that in knowing your purpose, like you kind of have to know who you are. And that's where the identity comes in. And so yes, the I feel like the way that my brain works and how I've laid everything out, the VIP, it's not necessarily in order, but it was a cool acronym, right? Like, it's VIP, right? And so I was kind of like playing around with that. So first, the purpose, you're uncovering your purpose, but before you do that, you got to figure out, who are you? Like, who are you? You have to know who you are in order to know what you were created for. You have to know whose you are in order to know what you're here to do. And so in knowing your identity, that's where you find your value, your worth. If you know who you are, like it can't nobody who gonna check you. When you really know your identity, like who gonna check you? You know what I'm saying? So and so with that, that's how the VIP suite came about. And so I started to imagine the VIP suite. Okay, what do you think of when you think of the VIP, whether it's at a club? I don't, I mean, I'm not on the club scene these days anymore. Praise the Lord. But when I was like the VIP was a part of the club or the event that was set apart, that was kind of roped off. You either had to know somebody to get in, you either had to, sacrifice, whether it was money, a little more of your resources to be in VIP, right? And VIP ultimately what it was that like I said, set apart, but it provided a different level of comfort. It provided a different level of like luxury, right? And so you had a little more benefits, if you will, right. And so you have some more perks within whatever the event was. And so I realized that, yeah, that's exactly what this is. If you know your purpose, or even in the process of pursuing it, right? You know your identity, you know your worth, your value, then yeah, there are a lot of perks that are going to come with that, i.e., not being in certain situations, whether it's relationships, and that could be a whole nother episode because been there, done that. Okay, been there, done. um, but not avoiding different situations where maybe somebody doesn't know your worth, they don't know your value. um a little less dramatic, I would say, even career wise. I, again, been there, done that, and I feel like if had I uncovered my purpose way back in the way back, or if I even knew to do that, um I would have had a lot less student loans. And I know that's like, girl, what? But in real life, like, I feel like if I knew where I was going back then, if I knew who I was and what direction I was meant to go in, I wouldn't have gone to school for half the things I went to school for. And I changed my major like 3 times, but they were very closely related, I'll say, right? And so I feel like stuff like that, like I made so many mistakes. I made so many mistakes in not knowing my identity, not knowing my purpose, that I have to help. It's not that I want to. I feel like I have to help other people, other women, other young women avoid those same mistakes. And if I could do that by coaching you and walking you through, you know, um, uncovering your purpose, and really getting in touch with really who you are, who you're created to be, then I'll do it. I'll do it every day, every single day for the rest of my life. Because I learned a lot of hard lessons. Okay. And I feel like I had to go through those hard lessons in order to help other people. And so while I didn't know my purpose back then, while I was struggling with identity back then, I think along the way God has always been walking me through these things, and it's all leading up to my purpose work now. So, yeah.
I just appreciate the glow as you talk about this. Like, it's a beautiful thing.
You can't fake the glow. You can't fake the glow.
Yes. My last podcast guest was like, "What brings you joy?" And it caught me off guard. And I was like, this means one of either two things. One,
Mm.
I'm looking a little sad or something, something's missing. Or two, the glow is there and she notices it. I'm not sure. I'm hoping it was the second one. But yeah, I think that is such a huge indication as well. Like when you see that glow, like that thing that brings you glow, makes you smile, like you have to pay attention to those things.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. And that's the thing, like I want to spread the glow. Like
Yeah.
ultimately that's what I want to do. I want to spread the glow across the country, all over the world. And so I'm starting off where I'm at. I'm starting off with one-on-one coaching. I'm starting off with, just community and group work and all the things that, you know, will be inside the VIP suite. And so that's my little corner. I feel like my little corner of the world to, you know, do what I was called to do. And so that's the glow. Okay. Purpose work. Like, yeah, you will glow when you're walking in purpose because like I said, it's that thing that makes you come alive. You're like, if bills weren't a thing, I would do this for free because this is in my heart. Like I love this. So
I
yeah.
love that. And yes, I hope more people discover that purpose and that glow that you have, maybe even partner with you to discover
Okay,
that
okay,
glow. Yeah,
okay.
just a suggestion.
Yeah, just
Okay.
a wink wink.
Yeah. We'll put the information in the show notes.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna shift gears
Yes.
a little bit
Yeah.
because you did mention relationships, and I know you have stories, but we don't have to get into all of them or any whatever. What I
Yeah.
want to talk about is like being a focused woman, a woman
Mhm.
who recognizes her value and her purpose, and how that affects dating.
Mm.
Because, yeah, I know we both have some stories. And even for me personally, in this season where I'm at, where
Yeah.
I have accepted that call and I have chosen purpose, and then there's always little opportunities. Seeing
Of course.
the saying that is like, I'm single because I choose to be, not because there's not options. Yeah,
Right. There's no
yeah.
shortage. Okay. No
But
shortage. But
I
yeah.
also realize like how, because I'm focused, because I have an awareness of purpose in this season, that
Mhm.
entertaining the wrong relationship would really be a huge distraction. And this is not the season for distractions. It's just not. Hopefully, it will never be again.
No.
So
No.
let's talk about that. Like,
Yeah.
especially like knowing your worth and how that translates into how you date, because a lot of women, like, we don't recognize our worth early enough, and then we get into these trash situations. So
Hmm. Hmm.
all you take it away.
Okay. Okay. Boom. So let's speak on it, right? Going back, the V, the I, and the P. Okay. In relationships, if you know your identity, you know who you are, which would lead to you knowing your value, you know your worth, like you know you are a valuable woman. And I'm not talking about money. We're not doing the whole high value because you make, six figures or whatever the case is. I don't care if you're jobless, really. Like that's not where I'm going with this. But at the end of the day, like knowing your worth, your value, you know what you stand for, you know your morals, you know your standards, and you have them, right? First of all, can I tell you, even when it is a distraction, even if it is a what's it called, a counterfeit, knowing like just having that in you, you'll be surprised at how quick you could pick up on who's not for you when you have those things if you are aligned. Okay. um at this point I got to be honest, I'm so aware of myself, I'm so aware of the queen within, amen somebody, that anyone that approaches me, regardless of how you look on the outside, regardless of how handsome he may be, what he has going on financially or what it looks like, right? It doesn't take me long to first see if he understands my value. It doesn't take me long at all. And so, like I said, I got to be honest, when I entertain something that is not for me, it's my fault. I can't blame that on nobody else because I'm able to pick up on that stuff, and you should be able to pick up on that stuff very quickly. Now, granted, way back, before I was in this place, before I was aligned, I wasn't quite there understanding my value and stuff, right? I did entertain some foolishness. I sure did. I think we all kind of entertain some foolishness, but I entertained some foolishness, which now, present day, I look back like, girl, what? So the other thing about that is, so that's the V and the I. Now the P, knowing your purpose, that's kind of like the sure way to know when somebody is not even if it, like I said, even if it looks good, even if it smells good, it's you're gonna know almost right away that it's not for you because the purposes don't align, right? And I'm not saying they need to be the same exact thing. Like, for example, right? I am a life coach. I'm not necessarily expecting that, my future husband, wherever you're at, okay, because I am single, but I'm not necessarily expecting for my future husband to be a life coach. That's not what I mean when I say purpose. However, I am expecting that one, his he knows his purpose. He's figured out what his purpose is by now because we're getting up there in age. And he's walking in that, or he's on the way to walking in that, right? And so at the end of the day, our purpose is that we are here to help people. We are here to help society. We are here to help in some capacity, right? And so I feel like knowing now, especially now knowing my purpose, I'm gonna come across a guy, and if he, let's say, he is, oh, and the entrepreneurship thing too. Don't forget about that because I feel like a lot of people don't talk about that entrepreneurship. Now, I'm not saying that the person that I will end up with will also be an entrepreneur, but most likely he will be, and here's why. Right? I need to now that I know in the direction that I'm going, I know which direction I'm going in. I need to be with somebody that not only supports, but will understand. Like, it's one thing for you to understand, like, okay, you don't work 9 to 5, but, well, no, I take that back. It's one thing for you to support that I don't work a 9 to 5, and I'm following my dream and I'm following my passion. But it's another thing for you to really understand what it takes to do what I'm doing. It's another thing for you to understand that, like, I don't have a set schedule. Like, I am able to get up and go. I'm so sorry for the background noise. but but it is important to for somebody to understand, like, okay, this is what is needed in entrepreneurship. This is what is needed to grow your business, to grow your brand, right? So I said all that to say, like, once you know your value, your identity, your purpose, it's going to be very hard for you to come across someone and kind of like not know if they're for you or not. It's going to be really hard for you to not be able to discern almost right away. I don't know about you, but for me at this point, it's almost right away that I can discern, like, okay, this is not gonna go far. Like, yeah, he's a nice guy, but we're not gonna make it. We're not gonna make it because you're definitely out there somewhere and you can't even begin to understand my value. You can't even begin to fathom, like, how heavy, the calling on my life is. So it's probably not gonna work out. So yeah, that's not to say I wish I had that before, but again, like, I learned so much from those mistakes that I have made in past relationships, um, in order to help other people. I think part of it is in order to help other people. And so if that's the case, I'm okay with that. But going forward, I'm like, nah, girl, nah, we need to get this together. You need to know who you are. You need to know everything that you come with so that you know that if somebody comes along and they can't carry what you come with, nah, it's not gonna work. Don't even waste your time. So yeah.
I have a lot to say because I can relate to this. But I guess I'm wondering, like, because I like to be realist, I like to be honest.
Uh-huh.
Um, do you in this season, this current season right now, like, do you get lonely? Like, do you be looking at other people like, where's my man at? Or are you like, nah, tunnel vision, like,
Ah, girl, yeah. I am still very much human. As focused as I am, I'm still very much human, right? And so I am in a right now I would say like yeah, I'm waiting. I don't like using that word because I'm so over it, but I am waiting. I'm waiting to meet that special person and do the things and get the ring and all the wonderful things, right? That that we're waiting on. And at the same time, yeah, like my eyes be wandering like, "Oh, who that?" Like, "Okay, I see you." But again, knowing what I know now, I can look, okay? I can be like, "Oh, okay, I see you. Okay." But it doesn't mean much because at the end of the day, like you have to be a very special person because I understand what I come with. I understand again, I can't stress enough knowing my value and knowing how I'm trying to get used to calling myself special because somebody else will be like, "Oh my gosh, you're so special to me." But we don't often call ourselves special.
That's
And
so good.
so, right? I'm getting used to that. So knowing how special I am, basically, it's going to take another very special person to match me, to meet me where I'm at. And so, yeah, you can look cute, fresh shape up and all that stuff. Like I love to see it. I do. Um, but again, if you're not on that wavelength, like it is what it is. Now, I wouldn't say I get lonely. I wouldn't say that because maybe it's just my personality, but I am very much I am like I got to a place in my waiting that I was like, okay, God, if marriage is not in the books for me, I will be okay. Just make me filthy rich. Like that was my exchange. I was like, God, if you like, because I've been waiting a minute now. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you don't want me to get married, just say that. I'm cool with it. Just make me filthy rich. I mean, I still want to be filthy rich, but I believe that, you know, it is God's will for me to be married eventually, right? Someday. Um, but like I had to get to a place that I was okay with that. Like if it doesn't happen, I will still be okay. Why? Part of the reason is I have found my purpose. And so more important than I would say more important than joining with somebody and being somebody's wife, more important than that, I am literally doing what I was created to do, what I was born to do. And so, a lot of people might not agree, and that's okay. Um, but I feel like yes, I will meet someone. We will join forces. We will be better together. Like that's been like I guess like the little model that like God sends you a message, like maybe you'll see a phrase, throughout the day, or you'll see the same whatever, like, he's trying to communicate to you. And so I I believe like recently that was like God's little wink wink to me that when I do find my husband, or when he finds me, I should say, we will be better together. And so I believe that I will find somebody that we will be better together. But until then, like I'm popping by myself. I'm still popping. You know what I mean? So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, that perspective is everything. And I needed to hear that myself because, like, people will tell me, like, you're special, like, you're rare, da 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 da. Da. And I'm like, oh, thank you. But I don't know that I necessarily actually believe that, like, deep down. And when you do, you operate differently. Different.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Did I say that right?
Differently. Yeah.
Differently. Okay. I thought I
Yeah.
had another syllable somewhere. Anyways, yeah, because the way that you said that just now just made perfect sense to me. Like, if I'm special, that means that I need somebody who's special too. Like, I can't
Yes.
be downgrading. I'm special and I'm with somebody who's subpar. No.
Period.
So that,
Period.
that just really made a lot of sense to me. And I love that. And I hope that that helps somebody else too. But
Yeah.
even as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking over my own journey.
Hmm.
And I'll share some things because I'm all for sharing to help somebody else out. And
Yes.
okay, and I also want to talk from the Christian perspective because I realize that like a lot of us as believers, as Christians, like sometimes we just don't know things. Like we've
Yeah.
never been taught. And I feel like I have a lot to share. And so I'm doing my best to do that as God leads me. So, anyways, because yeah, when you and I talk about dating and marriage, it's very much like for purpose, for God's glory, for his kingdom. It's not just like, oh, I want to fall in love and make babies and get married. Like, no, like it's so much deeper than that. And so
Yeah.
in my own journey, like before I could recognize my purpose, I knew that like as a Christian, my purpose is for my life to give glory to God, period. Like it don't gotta be
Period.
that deep. Like my purpose is for God to get the glory.
Yeah.
And so that being said, I already knew like I need somebody who is also on a mission for others to get to know Christ. I knew that. I wrote that down. All right. Like
Yeah.
I knew that. But then I was dating guys who like kind of sort of like, yeah, they grew up Christian. They don't have no church home. They don't pray every day, or like they pray every day, but it's very like religious, not like relationship like me and God be talking on the regular. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I knew I needed somebody who was gonna advance the kingdom with me, but then I was dating guys who were spiritually starving, who were spiritually
Oh.
malnourished. And so
Oh.
there was that.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's like part of the reason why I knew that my daughter's father wasn't the one, quote unquote, because I was looking at, so I have written notes to my future husband. I started doing that in like 2017, 2018. And so when I was married to him in 2020, I was like, oh, you're my husband. So I guess these notes are for you. Tell me how we was reading
Okay.
these. We was reading the notes like, you know, this ain't me, right? Like the man that you're
Oh,
talking to, I am not him. So there was that.
he he did say that. He
Like
said
we
that.
both yeah, he was like, and I was just like, oh, you know, like you can grow into him. Like,
Oh.
I was,
Okay.
yeah, I was just like, yeah, the logic was not there. It was
Oh
like
man.
fairyland thinking. So I was like, it's fine, like you'll grow into him. Anyways,
Yeah.
so there was that. And then I also took time to identify my values, meaning like what's important to me in a relationship. And I always do that from the perspective of not only what do I need, what is important to me, but also what do I have to offer? What do I have to give? Am I holding this guy to a standard that I'm not meeting myself? And so I took the time to do that, but then I didn't honor it. And in not honoring my standards and my values, I was not honoring myself because I wrote these things down. I knew them, but when it time came, when a person presented themselves, I didn't go back to those standards to see like, okay, is there alignment here? And that would have saved me so, so much time.
A little bit of heart. Yeah, it would have saved you some. Yeah, some heartache.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
on the purpose tip now, as I have a bigger revelation of my purpose for this season of my life, like, and I was just talking to somebody about this morning. So we were talking a little bit about finances in a relationship and like our expectations. And for me, it's, I guess I do agree with you. Oh my gosh. Am I talking? I don't even know what I'm saying. My words are like coming up on top of each other. Anyways, I do agree with what you said. Like, personally, I don't know that I would need somebody who's an entrepreneur, but definitely like you got to have the understanding and the mentality. Like, what I said to
Right.
this guy this morning was like, you have to have a wealth mentality. And you
Mm,
can have that in a 9 to 5. You can, but
sure can.
you gotta have that wealth mentality because again, going back to my previous relationships, I know what it's like to be unequally yoked financially. So
Yeah.
where I'm like, okay, we gotta tithe, um, we gotta invest, we gotta look into this. And they're like, why? For what? Like, that's for those people. Like, I don't have those resources, I don't have those advantages. And like the mindset is just trash. I'm not going through that again.
Yeah.
So if the mentality isn't there, like I just don't feel like it will be compatible because like I'm trying to have big wealth over here. Okay. Like like we said, children's children. Okay. So
Period.
I I need you to be on board. Okay. And you cannot be keeping
Period.
all your money. If you not for me at this point, like if you don't tie, that's that you better start. Like
Definitely red flag a little bit. And that's not to judge anybody who doesn't do it, but
no.
I think where you're at, like I see you're a leader.
Thank
You're
you.
amazing, first of all, but we're not gonna go into that because but you're so amazing. And so when I think of the person that you will marry, like your purpose partner, so to speak, like your godly spouse, whatever you want to call it, right? I feel like that person, you're not going to have to be the one to walk them along and explain to them why tithing is necessary. Um, I believe that person is going to be such an amazing leader for you and your household and your family, that there's a lot of stuff you're not going to have to explain. They're going to come equipped, period. They're going to come equipped. They're going to teach you a thing or two. Okay. So, yeah, I feel like you're not even going to have to do all that for real.
I
That's just
receive
me.
that.
That's
No, you're absolutely right. And I think that just goes to show 'cause the other week I posted how like when you've been when you've been given crumbs, a slice looks good, but really you're worthy of a whole loaf. And I guess I still have some like slice thinking in my head that I
mm,
still need to grow out of because
yeah,
you're absolutely right. I've been used to like teaching and educating, but I don't know necessarily that I've been with somebody who's been able to teach me
yeah.
and like pour into me. So yeah, I guess I I guess I needed this episode today, this conversation today. It wasn't just for the listeners,
We
it was for me too.
for sure
But
we needed it for sure. But yeah,
yeah.
and that's so that is part in the grand scheme of things, that is part of my purpose. Like because I at one point I thought like that. At one point I needed someone to tell me, "Girl, do you know what you deserve? You deserve way more than you think you do, than you have accepted thus far." And so receive that. And whoever's listening, you deserve so much more than what you have been receiving and what you've accepted thus far. You deserve, girl. Period.
Period. That's it. And
That's it.
that's definitely gonna be a highlight. Because yeah, I feel like we don't hear that like as much as we need to. And so I'm forever gonna put that
Yeah.
message out there because I need people to stop
Yeah.
settling, stop playing around and think
Stop.
bigger or
Please
higher.
stop.
But I was
Whew.
gonna say on the topic of like desiring relationship as a purposeful woman, for
Mm-hmm.
me in this season, my mentality is very much like, let me be found working. I don't know why, but that's good or bad, but that's just where I'm at. Cause like we love to
Okay.
talk about Ruth and Boaz.
I was just gonna say it's giving Ruth.
Exactly, exactly. Okay, you caught on. Yes, like
Yes.
she wasn't found like chilling, like posted up, like she was in the field, and that's where favor found her. And
Yeah.
on that note, as well, like talking about purpose as a believer, as a Christian, like the Bible says that the harvest is plenty, the workers are few. So I'm like, okay, God, I'm in the field. I'm gonna be doing your
Out here.
yeah. So let me that's my mentality right now. It's like let me be found working. But
Yeah. Out here grinding. And to be honest, God has definitely confirmed that even for me, because I'm like, God, where he at? Where he at? But God definitely confirmed to me, because I'm a dreamer, right? And we've had that conversation. I'm definitely a dreamer. And he did show me in a dream that basically the gist of it was, when you're walking in your calling, when you're walking in your purpose, he is going to be paying attention. That is what's going to, then I will have him notice you when you're doing what I've called you to do. And so I was like, okay, cool. So I'm not going to run into him at the supermarket. Fine. So that kind of like erased the thought of like, oh, I'm going to this place, maybe I'll run into him, maybe I'll meet. No, God was like, no, do what I'm calling you to do. Do what I'm calling you to do, and then I will turn his attention towards you. Okay, I'll be the one to point you out. So just mind your business and drink your water, okay, and walk in your purpose. And that's what I'm doing. So I'm
Yeah.
telling.
And I feel like if more single women would have this mentality, like the world would be a better place, honestly.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm not gonna sit on here and act like I got it all figured out because this time last year, whole different story. Okay. This time last year, I was doing a little Bible study at church with some moms, and they were like, yeah, my husband, da 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 da. So I just da 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 da. And I'm like, God, where is my husband so that I can be a stay-at-home mom? Must be
we love to hear
nice.
it. Love to hear it. I
But now
love
I'm not
that
on
for
that
you.
anymore. I'm not, I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, when he comes, he comes. But in the meantime, I still have life to live. I still have things to accomplish.
Yes.
And I'm going to focus on those things. And when he comes, he comes. And he'll, like you said,
Yeah.
we'll be better together. So,
Yeah. Yeah. We have work to do. We have work to do. And again, in the singleness season, because it is just a season, okay? I realized that, like, yeah, like I said before, the marriage is not the end all be all. First of all, it's not the end all be all, and I think we want it so bad because we don't have it, if that makes sense. Because I have a lot of married friends that, not to say that they're like, girl, I wouldn't get married, but they're very much like on the other side of marriage, like, just enjoy your singleness while you're in it. Enjoy it, because things are a little different over here now. It's rewarding. Every marriage is not the same, and they kind of like, they definitely, I would say my friend circle, those that are married, they do a great job at encouraging me, but also keeping it real with me, because that's what I appreciate. Don't give me the fluff. I don't want to have the, like you were saying before, like the fairy tale picture of what marriage should be. And like I said, every marriage is going to be different, but our single season, like, we need to live that up. We need to be happy in that. We need to be content in that, so that we can be just as content, if not even more, when we do get married, because we've turned up, okay, as much as we wanted to. Um, the way I'm getting up and going these days is not even funny, because I believe that this season is gonna come to an end soon, right? And so in the meantime, I want to get up and go as much as possible. I want to do the things that, maybe, is not to say that I won't be able to do it, but maybe not as often, right? When I do get married. So me being able to focus, like, even for you being able to focus on your craft right now, and all the amazing, amazing things that you have going on at this current moment, girl, you being able to solely focus on that stuff right now is a gift. Okay. And I know we are both waiting. We're like, okay, Lord, where's our man? But just think about it. Will be in a whole, you'll be in a different capacity when the time comes. And yeah, you'll still be able to accomplish these amazing, amazing things, but it might be a little more difficult. It might be you might have to sacrifice a little more time trying to do the things that you're doing now because now you're partnered up with someone, and after God, that person comes first. You know what I'm saying? So I see it as a gift. The waiting is a gift, the singleness is a gift, just like the marriage will be a gift. And when the time comes, I will honor that the same way that I am honoring my single season. But yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, should we talk about anything else? Like, I feel like this has been good. Like,
Yes. Oh,
good.
I needed this little girl chat. I needed this.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
satisfied. Like, I don't know.
I am too, girl. It's
I don't know what else
hey,
to say. Like,
if the boss is good, I'm good too.
like that is it. Yes. Okay, so if people want to hear a little more of your story, like I said, the episode is called Clearly You're a Fighter. So that's a little bit more background on you. This has been really good. We're definitely going to include more information on how our audience could connect with you because clearly, I mean, if they're not getting connected with you, like, what are you doing? If this
What
episode
are you
and you're not
doing?
looking for her, like, what are you doing? So there's that. And yeah, I feel like you might just be that person that comes back to get up 10 the most because
I'm I'm here for it. Okay.
yeah.
I mean, I didn't want to invite myself, but since you said it, I'll be back. I'm gonna come. That's not a problem. That's not a
Because
problem, but
I love it.
hmm
The way that
yeah,
like God works in your life and moves in your life, like I already know. In a few more months, maybe a couple years, whatever the timeline is, you're gonna have
yeah,
even more to pour out and to share and to speak on. So yeah.
I believe that. I received that for sure. For sure. Before we go though, because I feel like you're about to wrap up, I do want to say in front of people how proud I am of you. Yeah, girl. Yeah. You knew it was coming. I'm so proud of you. And I tell you that, like, this is not like, for all to see, but I do want to say publicly, I am so proud of you, girl. I'm so proud of your growth. Okay. From way back when I was just crocheting some hair, when I was crocheting your hair and rolling into your house with my little hair suitcase. And we would chat and you would tell me what you were up to. And just to see how much you've grown, how beautifully you've grown, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and just to see where you're at now. Like, I'm so honored to be having like front row seats to see your life. This is just amazing to me. So I'm so proud of you, and I just want you to know
Thank you. Thank
that.
you. All right, guys. This has been another episode of Get Up 10. Thanks for listening.